Welcome back for another episode of How to Letter Comics with your host, Marshall Dillon. Okay, what we've got here is a bunch of brush strokes. This episode is going to be about using brushes to make sound effects. So each of these is a brush that I created initially with ink on paper with various types of tools. Then I brought them into Photoshop, cleaned them up, made some adjustments, and I brought them over to Illustrator and turned them all into brushes. If you see here, I'll just click on that one up top, hit the letter B for brush, and I can make strokes that have that brush applied to them. One note before I continue on with this, if you look at everything else that's available here, this stuff is my basic comic book lettering template. It comes with 3 fonts, regular italic and bold italic, and these different balloon styles. It comes with a little area here for you to fill in your information on what title you're doing, what issue number, what page number, and who you are as the letterer. And it has layers set up to allow you to easily work back and forth and have things in the right place. If you look at this balloon, it's got the lettering on the lettering layer, the top balloon on the top balloon layer, bottom balloon on the bottom balloon layer, and the tail on the tail layer. Anyway, that template is available on my website for $30. The website is firstdraftpress.net. Over here, what you see are some yelling balloons. I did a tutorial on those just a little while ago, but I left them in here so that anyone who missed that tutorial can see some of what we talked about last time, and you can go check that video out in case you missed it. All right, back to the brushes. So the way these work is when you open the brush pack, which is available at firstdraftpress.net for $10, these will pop up as they are now. Each of these is editable. It's simply a path, so it's a line, and you can move around the 2 nodes that make up that line. After you click on one of them, you have that brush selected, so you can just draw that, and then we'll do this, and we'll do a different brush. See how that works? Different brush. And all of those brushes, once you open the file, will reside in your brush palette. If you continue with that brush pack file as your part of your template, you will continue to have access to those brushes. Otherwise, you can import them going through Window, Brush Libraries, other libraries, and importing that way. But I find that it's easiest to just keep making brushes and keep creating them in the brush palette. So the way these work is you just click on one. I'm just using my mouse here because I don't have my Wacom Cintiq set up, but you just draw letter forms like this, and you have the basics of a sound effect, a hand-drawn sound effect. Now, since I don't have my Wacom set up, I have to do a lot of manipulation to actually make these look as good as I'd like. And even with my Cintiq, I do a lot of this manual manipulation and adjustment so that the letters look more presentable. But you can see how this basically works. Now let's say I want to take this and I want to try a different brush. Let's just drag it over and we'll throw on this brush, which is very small. But we can increase that. And while BAM is not the right word for this particular brush, you could do something else like, this might be good for yelling. Or, car tires screeching or something like that. Because that brush has a natural curvature to it, so you get a curved effect. But if we keep playing with these, we can see other ones. This might be good for like slicing. This one is a big one, so we want to drop this down quite a bit. That's the one we already did. This one, there we go. That's a sort of a more dry brush approach. copy this over again. So you've got lots of different options to play with here. And you can even layer these up. So let's group this, copy it, paste in front, and we'll go with another one too. And we'll, let's see, we will go with maybe that one. And you can see where they overlap, they sort of fill in each other's gaps a little bit, which makes it perhaps a little easier to read the basic letter form. But you can play around with that as much as you like. I really do play with it a lot myself. Some of these are big and chunky and rough looking, and they might be better used for other things besides sound effects. Like this one might be better for, let's say, a crazy kind of monster balloon. So we'll copy that behind there. So that works as an interesting balloon for a monster of some kind. And that was this same tail, or same brush, just applied and changed a little bit differently. And here we can do one too. So this is a way to jazz up your balloons as well. This one doesn't work quite as well. So if you're doing different special effects for balloons or sound effects, you have a lot of different options. Now, let's go ahead and I'll just take this one as an example. Once I've got it finessed as I want it, which again, I would do this a lot more. I would do a lot more finessing if this was for an actual project. You can play with the strokes a little bit, get them thicker if you want. This looks pretty good. So I'm going to go so right now this is it's just a series of lines, see? So if I change that back, there's just a couple nodes in there. And you can grab those nodes and manipulate them. You can grab the corner points and anchors and stuff and manipulate those. And you can take them all and you go Object, Expand Appearance. Now it's no longer a line. Now it's a bunch of different nodes. So you can grab all those, just ungroup them to make sure, and then you can unite them into one object. And then you've got, standard approach stuff. So I'm going to hit the letter D. I'm going to put the stroke on the outside. I'm going to give it rounded corners and such. And you see this takes a while to render because there's a lot of stuff happening there. But depending on what you're doing, this could be a decent approach. If you're doing a horror comic especially, something with a lot of roughness is good. You can do standard sound effect stuff like doing a drop shadow, which in Illustrator you just do by copying, putting it behind, dropping it down 1 or 2 points with the arrow and over to one side or the other with 1 or 2 points. And you can see how that gives you a deeper shadow on the bottom. You can, of course, give this a color. So there are lots of ways to play around with it. Anyway, that's the brush pack. Again, available at firstdraftpress.net. The template is also available there. These are not available there. They're just available in the tutorial, which I recently posted. Also at FirstDraft.net, there's some free comics. There's a sort of an autobiographical / semi-biographical bipolar ghost story about my mom's death. There's a comic for pay for 99 cents, which is called The Cursed Blade, and that's set in the world of Intrepid, my free-to-play role-playing game. It's fantasy-based. It uses only 6-sided dice, so you can just rob those from Yahtzee or Monopoly. You don't have to have special dice. It's open source. You can create your own content. You can expand on it. You can create artwork. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video, and please leave comments below. Let me know what you think of the videos. Let me know what you think about the brushes. Let me know what you think about the industry in general. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.